Well, thanks for joining me today and for another inspiring session. And I've got a great interview today with Gemma Crow. Now, Gemma is an arts and crafts and jewellery extraordinaire. She's amazing in everything she does. She not only makes jewellery, but she can turn her hand to just about any creative skill ever. I've seen so much stuff that Gemma creates. It's amazing. Now we met at Jewellery Maker, where we both work as guest designers, where we demonstrate and offer workshops and try to inspire people into making their own jewellery. But Gemma goes beyond all of that as she operates her own business and she organises festivals and she writes tutorials. She's a busy lady. And now she's produced this amazing book, which I got my hands on a couple of weeks ago, and I've been able to have a really good gander through it. And it is fabulous. It's really inspiring. And I think it's really, well, it's just what it says on the tin. It's a daily guide for your jewellery making journey. So I think it's going to really inspire a lot of people with their journey. Now, I want Gemma to tell you more about it rather than me babble on about it. So what I love about Gemma is she's so sunny, she's so happy, she's always smiling, she's got a very enthusiastic personality, and she's passionate about what she does, and she'll share that with you right now. So my first question for you, Gemma, when do you get to sleep?
Well, yeah. Well, first, thank you for that lovely introduction. That was really lovely. Thank you. I didn't quite know what to do with myself when you were talking then, but yeah, thank you. No, when do I get to sleep? I operate on about 5 or 6 hours sleep, so I get quite a long day to work, which is just as well, just as well.
Well, yeah, I don't know how I could manage. I couldn't manage on a couple of hours sleep. I'm a good 8, 9, 10 hours sleeper, me. But I think you're amazing. So that's how you shoehorn everything into your day. Well done, you. So give us a little bit background about your creative journey. Where did it all begin for you?
Oh wow, well, I've always loved art and craft. My dad's an artist. My great gran was an artist. My nan was a seamstress, and so I think I had a good mix of creative influence in my life. And so I started very young with art and design, and I actually did went to night school to do GCSE art when I was 10, which was quite terrifying, and I wasn't allowed to take my exams, and I don't think I actually progressed much more than that with fine art, but yeah, so always been creative. It's hard to pinpoint sort of a start, but jewelry making started probably around 15 years ago when my friend got married. And because I'm used to making everything, so people come to me to fix their curtains or make a lampshade or anything like that. She came to me to make headpieces for her wedding, and I'd never done it before. I did it, and then somebody from a bridal shop said, "Oh, would you make some for us?" And that was it. I got the bug. And and I think my first venture into wire and metal was a trip down to the garden shed, finding lots of fuse wires and a rummage in a recycle box and tins of beans and things like that, and cutting those up and just started playing. And that was it, really. I was stuck from then.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, we sound like we've had similar journeys, but I won't go into that. Yeah, starting from a young age. I think it's just inherent within you, isn't it? If you start young and you can't help yourself, you're always finding that new way or new thing or new inspiration.
Yeah.
So let's dive deep into this book. So what got you on this journey? What started the inspiration for this for you?
So I think when I started working with Jewelry Maker, which is about 10 years ago now, I was constantly creating designs and making tutorials and delivering workshops. And they're all very project based. And I'd have a workshop, for example, and I'd find that the ladies and gents that would attend the workshops, they already had the skills, but what they wanted were project ideas and that confidence to actually take on a project or make something that they like at the end. And I think lots of people have so many skills that they just don't they just don't acknowledge, or they don't know they've got. And it's that having the confidence to put your skills into action and not doubting or questioning yourself, and understanding that we've all got our own unique style and our own unique way of doing things, and that is brilliant. That is what you should embrace, and that's what I wanted to encourage. So I wanted to step away slightly from delivering projects to delivering inspiration for projects, or the confidence to have a go at your own designs. And that's where the book takes people on that journey. And I think that um, before I was in the creative role, then, well, I suppose I've always made my jobs creative over the years, but I was a coach for personal development programs, and then I worked with people with addiction and families with addiction within the family, and I worked on cycle of change and changing perceptions and things like that. And so this book is sort of amalgamation of working on that level with personal development and confidence and changing behaviours, and my creative life. And it sort of brings the two together. So what the book does is takes you on a 12-week journey through just opening your mindset, really, to seeing the inspiration around you. And it's done through, sort of the vehicle are the 12 concepts of design, or the 12 sort of principles of general design across the board. So whether it's architecture or fine art or jewelry making, they cross over. And just using those as the vehicle to sort of really explore your own creativity and how you see the world through your eyes. And so hopefully the aim is that wherever you are and whatever you're doing, you can glean inspiration from something around you in your own environment.
It's great. It is absolutely brilliant, because it's one of those frequently asked questions I hear all the time of, when I'm teaching, people will say to me, but where do you get your ideas from? And you think, well, yeah, you've drawn that inspiration, as you do. I'm sure you've drawn that inspiration from somewhere back in your psyche. And that's what people, I find, sometimes have a difficulty with. But this book, it'll give you sort of like interactive sections where you can start to put down your thoughts. You can start to put down images or drawings or something, so that you can draw those ideas out of yourself if you didn't know you had them. It's here to be able to do that, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Just that, yeah, the inspiration is around us all the time. It's just choosing to see it. I mean, I don't know if you ever have a situation where, you've never seen a purple car before in your life, and your friend turns up in a purple car, and then suddenly you think, oh, I've never seen a purple car. And then suddenly, everywhere you go, you see purple cars. And it's exactly that's exactly what I aim to do with the book, is just, notice a colour, and then actually you notice that colour everywhere, or notice a shape. And it's that sort of concept that I've tried to tap into with the book. It's just opening your mind to all the creative things. Now, it might get a bit intense. It does for me sometimes. Probably why I don't sleep. But it's about that, being open to receiving that creative spark all the time.
Indeed. Yeah. So it's an amazing, wonderful book. As I say, it's got this 12-week program of activities that you can engage in. So it's not literally, you have to work through it all day, every day. So, there's little bite-sized pieces, just enough to do something every day towards this. And it's almost like a little training program, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is like that. It is a journey. I want people to feel like they're on a journey. And the activities, some are practical, some are, sitting and thinking, some are, you do whilst you're carrying out your normal day, so that they're not time consuming. You might spend maybe up to an hour a day doing a part of the book, but that might be alongside your daily tasks, whether it's washing up or dusting the shelves. There's things to do along with your normal everyday life, so it's not a big commitment. And like you said, it is designed to be sort of 12 weeks, sort of, week 1, week 2, it's set out like that. But you can pick it up and literally open a page and see an activity and think, I'm going to do that one today. you can pick and choose the sections. You don't have to work through it like a
From page
textbook.
1, page
Yeah.
2, page 3. You don't have to do it like that, do you?
I
No.
didn't want it to feel like that. I want it to feel more like a scrapbook, or a little prompt now and again. But also with that little bit of learning with, just understanding the principles of design, and part of reading that, there's going to be parts of that when you're reading about principle, you think, oh, I already knew that, and I did that already, and you feel really clever. And then sometimes you'll read a piece and you'll think, oh, I didn't know that, but actually I can see how I use that in my work anyway. So a lot of these things we do naturally, but it's those times where you doubt yourself,
Mm.
where you think, what's wrong with this, or where's it going wrong, what's not working in this piece or this design. And it's those times when you lack that bit of confidence, that you might be able to, once you understand those practices, you might then go to it and think, I know exactly what's not working. Or on the flip side, what is working? Why does everybody love this piece? You
Mm.
go, oh, I know. It's the juxtaposition, or it's the negative space. And
Yeah.
that's the nice thing as well. You'll feel confident, I think, reading the book, just knowing that you already do a lot of these things naturally.
Indeed, yeah, yeah, absolutely. So
Mhm.
the contents, I'm just going to read the contents page because it covers everything from laying the foundations and then looking at colour, which I remember spending a lot of time looking at colour. Line, shape and form. We've got texture, symmetry, asymmetry, movement, direction and flow, rhythm and repetition, contrast and juxtaposition, I can barely say that, balance and visual weight, proportion and scale, negative space, composition, and then there's a summary at the end. So there's an awful lot of content in here. But I don't think if you're new to jewelry making, or if you're new to designing, which I think many people can be, they haven't always realized that these things are there,
Mm.
and or these principles are in place already. So they, if you explore them, they will really elevate what you're currently doing and what your journey will be. So I think it's a fantastic book, and I think this will really, really help so many people.
I
So
really hope so. Not just from the understanding point of view, but just from that personal confidence point of view. And I think whenever we feel good about anything that we do, it impacts our whole life. So, if I've made something that I'm really proud of, I feel great for the day, and that impacts on my family, and that then impacts on my community, and it reaches further and further out.
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
the the poem at the start of the book is a favorite of mine, and I put it in because it resonates so much with me. And it's about sort of it's about that knock-on effect of somebody inspiring you, and then you inspire somebody else, and then they inspire somebody else, and that process keeps turning. That's just such a wonderful thing. And that's what I really hope. Well, that's what we all do as creatives. You certainly do, Tracy. I'm constantly inspired by your amazing work and your ideas, and how elaborate those ideas are. One thing you do that I'm not very good at is I'm not very good at staying on one thing for a long time. So the
I'm not
book was
sure
a
I am.
real challenge. But your pieces are so intricate and built so precisely and so beautifully. That is, if you could write a book on how to do that, please, that'd be great.
Well, yeah,
Because
maybe. I keep saying in the retirement plan that'll be that'll be my book when I get to that point. Okay, so yeah, truly inspiring book, and I'm sure you've got more in the pipeline. Is there another one to follow this?
there's 4 in the series. So originally the book started as a much bigger book, but I soon realized that actually it was just too big. It would have been like one of those encyclopedias. So to sort of keep it manageable and in bite-sized chunks, and really focus on each topic, I broke it into four sections. So this is part 1, and the next part looks at sort of context of jewelry, so through history and throughout the world, so the influences around. So it's a much more about inspiration and taking inspiration from different cultures and countries. And then they progress through. I won't tell you too much about the third one just yet. But yeah, the second one is in the making. It's starting. I'm gathering images and snippets of information from colleagues that have travelled and been around. So yeah, that one's in the process. Creative confidence is also, it's not just a book, it's a course. So if you want to do the book on your own and just work through it in your own way, then you can. But if you want to go through the book with a little bit more depth, because obviously there's only so much you can put in a book, and all sorts of snags that I came up against, like licensing for images, for example. So many images you can't use because licenses for books are totally different to licenses for web content or newsletters and things like that. So all the content I couldn't use in the book, I've put into the course, and that will be sort of a weekly, done in the same format as the book, but you go through it along with other people and with a bit more sort of interaction and guidance from me on the journey. So that starts
Is
in
that
January.
on your website, or is that?
Yeah, that's on the website. It starts January the 10th, and it works out to £10 a month, so it's £120 for the 12-week course, and there'll be live sessions, interviews, lots of extra content and prompts, and then sort of the tasks explained perhaps in a bit more detail to give you more prompts to get you going. So yeah, just a bit more support.
That sounds really exciting, Gemma.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm
Yeah,
excited
because
about that as well.
these are our, your book is amazing, but I know there's lots of people that like the interaction as well, because it just, it backs it up, doesn't it? It just gives you that extra sort of reassurance that what you're doing is good. So if you can get feedback, so that's fantastic that you've got it running as a course as well.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
I'm excited. A few people have signed up already, and they're already talking with each other about, their ideas and how they're finding their journey so far. So they've already started, but they're going to sort of come back and start again with in a group, which is really, really exciting. I'm really excited about that.
Fantastic. Well, tell us about all the other things that you do, because you've got businesses and festivals and collaborations with other people and all sorts of going on. So tell us about everything else that you do.
Okay, I have to try and remember. I have to check my wall planner every day to see what I'm actually doing. So aside from, so that there's the book, and then on my website, which is www.gemmacrow.com, I've got tutorials that are to download. They're jewelry tutorials. I have the Creative Confidence course starting January. I have a Wire Confidence course starting in January too, part 1. So that's if you want to learn all the basic techniques, sort of those fundamental wire work skills. That starts in January too. There's 10 weeks in that program, but you can do them individually. So there's those. There are workshops that I do on with alcohol inks and doodling. I do those with lovely Laura Binding. So there's those as well. On Monday nights, I do a babble dabble session with a wonderful friend of mine called Sue Boys. She runs a group called Social Media for the Curious Creatives. I always forget the social media bit because it's Curious Creatives is Sue's business, and Sue does paint pouring. She's absolutely amazing. But we're both very crafty, so we come together on Monday nights and do a live session at 7 o'clock. And it's just craft and chat, and they're just daft crafts. Sometimes we impress ourselves with what we create out of bits of paper that we find through the letterbox. But we just have a nice crafty chat, tell you what we're up to. That's lovely. That's on Monday nights. What else? I run a festival every year. It's been a bit tricky because of the COVID situation. And securing a date for next year it's just gone a bit tricky again because of the new regulations. So it's likely to be in October next year. It's called the Crow's Mojo Festival. Crow's Mojo is basically me sort of sharing ideas on how to keep your mojo pepped up and keep excited about being creative. And the festival sort of celebrates that. We have guests that come and do demonstrations and stalls full of inspiration, making takes. It's just a fabulous day of lovely people coming together and being creative. What else do I do, Trace? I don't know what else do I do. I'm jewelry maker as a guest designer. You can find me on there now and again. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what I have got going at the moment. I've got some free workshops to get people started with the book. So the workshops cover that laying the foundation section of the book.
okay.
And they're about sort of, you create yourself a style board that looks a bit like this.
Yep.
And it's about like reconnecting with your own style and what you love and what you admire and what gets you excited. So that workshop is only about an hour and a half, but it just helps people get started. You don't have to have the book to join, because I think there are 4 dates left running between now and January, but you can book on. They're on Zoom, so anybody can book on those. They're completely free.
And they're listed on your website, are they?
They're on the website, yeah, under workshops, yeah.
Fantastic. This is all great news. Brilliant news. So just tell us again your website.
So the website is www.gemma with a G, crow like the bird .com. So gemmacrow.com. And yeah, I'm quite easy to find. You can find me on Instagram or Facebook. On Facebook, I have a group called Crow's Mojo, and that's where people come and share what they're doing, what they're up to, what they're getting creative with. They ask questions. It's a wonderful community of people, all very kind and keen to engage. So it's a lovely group. It's really lovely.
Fantastic.
5 years
and
old
everyone
now.
can buy your book off your website as well?
The book is available on the website. Yeah, there's only a limited quantity because it's got other places it's got to go, and I haven't got any more printed. So, so there's a limited quantity on there, but there should be enough to take us up to Christmas, hopefully.
Fantastic. So it's going to make a great cracking Christmas present for anybody that hasn't already got one. I think if you're into your jewelry making and you want to start your journey, or even already into your journey, I think this is really going to help you move on. So fantastic, Gemma. Thank you for joining me today. I'm so excited for you, and I'm looking forward to seeing this next book that you're doing as well. It sounds awesome. You're a busy lady, so thank you for taking time out to join me today.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I was so excited to do this. Really, really thank you for having me.
All right. Thanks, Gemma.
Bye.